Hi, Uzo.
Hi, Gina.
You're incredible. I just need to start by saying that.
Oh my gosh, and so are you.
You're stellar. You're stellar to watch.
Oh my gosh.
What made you choose your current TV role?
I would like to say that I chose this role, but
Happy they chose me for this current role, but
yeah. But the role, actually, I went in and I auditioned for another part for the show. I went in and I read for the role of the track star on Orange is the New Black. Yeah, the role of Janae.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went in because I had run track in college, so they thought that would be the right fit. And then my agent called me and they said, "You remember that audition you went on for Orange is the New Black?" I said, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, you didn't get it." I was like,
you're like, "Thank you. I don't know where we're going with this conversation."
Exactly.
But
Apparently, we're calling talent now, to tell them that the job they didn't get. So
you're like, "I prefer not to do that in the future, but I love you. Yes, go on."
Yes, go on. And they're like, "But they'd like to offer you another role." Awesome. And I said, "Okay." And honestly, really, truly, this part feels like the right fit. You know, funny enough, and I'm really happy to do it. What about you?
You know, Jane, I feel like I definitely patiently waited for Jane. And again, it came like at the right time. And it's just a testament to that everything happens the way it's supposed to and everything happens for a reason. I've always desired to play roles that were empowering and that empowered young Latinas everywhere. For me personally, especially growing up as one. And when I read Jane, I was like, this is an authentic, like, breath of fresh air. And I fell in love with her. You can fall in love with a million characters and you go in and they're not your story to tell.
Yeah.
I think from the beginning I was like, this is a story I have to tell. This is me.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Aside from the accidental artificial insemination. I'm very happy about that, but that's not, my case. We've had such an amazing year.
Yeah.
I feel like, I've seen you for the past 2 years and you've just done such amazing things. But you think about like overnight, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's so much
Yes.
leading up to it.
Yes.
So that when it comes, you can just appreciate it that much more. You're just like, yes.
I 1000% agree with that. I think every single day, like this experience we're getting to have now.
Girl, I'm like still chills.
Right? It's overwhelming because it's like, the work, the time, the love of the craft that went into making, and I haven't even touched, going to, my family has immigrated to this country as well, it's that like level of it that it's just a bigger story than my own almost, I feel like.
I love how you said it's like bigger than my own. It's like, because it feels like it's for so many around you, so many that helped you get there, so many that supported you, so many that you haven't spoken to yet that you're speaking for and hopefully giving a voice to. But I feel so lucky because like yourself, I feel like we both get to do comedy and drama.
Yeah.
Like what is that like for you?
It really, I feel like what we're getting down to is authentic storytelling, well-rounded storytelling. I don't know a story that I have ever witnessed in my life that didn't involve both the high of comedy and the low of drama. There's no person whose life is just always sunny happy and always sunny down. So to kind of blend that, I feel like we're really telling honest stories. Similarly, like on your own show, I think having that time to really play those different levels that you get to do and do so beautifully and brilliantly, might I add. That gorgeous storytelling, it really creates a beautiful shape. How does it feel for you to be able to tell both?
The way I approach them both, because I guess that's, as actors, that's how we approach them, is with honesty. Because everybody says, like, how do you do comedy? Like, comedy's so difficult. How do you do comedy? And it's like, you're being honest.
Yeah.
Listen, that's where the funny is. When people are like, no, this is real.
Yes.
Like, this is,
Yes.
and then you're like, oh, that is.
Yes.
And so for me, I feel so lucky that in like a scene, the way she writes, I can go from comedy to drama within literally a minute and a half. And it's so freeing.
If done well, it's easy to balance the scales rather than tip them. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes 100% sense.
Easy.
Yeah.
And they write so well on our show that they're able to make those transitions so seamlessly that you can understand why someone in this particular circumstance might be laughing one minute and then another character might be crying the next.
I agree. Jenny, we were on a panel recently and somebody asked her a question and they said, how is it that you can write for a Latina? And she goes, well, I'm writing for a woman. You write a good story.
That's right.
You write for a human.
That's right.
And I think any actor that's constantly working on themselves and their character will be able to tell that story.
I 1000% agree with that. When I first started on Orange, because I was coming from, doing the theater and was wondering at first, oh, what is this going to be like doing a TV show? I've never done one before, and is this going to feel different?
What's the translate? Like, how do I translate this? How do I transition?
Transition this, and well, is it going to be authentic and, you know.
I like that pose.
You know,
Like,
exactly.
I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah,
for-
exactly.
Yeah.
What is it going to be? And the truth is, the thing that I learned greatest out of doing it is a good story is a good story, regardless of the medium.
100%.
If anything is done well, how can you not but, you know, you want to sink your teeth into it.
My
as
mom used to
actor.
always say, cream always rises to the top. Right?
Absolutely.
I love you, mommy.
I know you've been talking a lot about your creator, Jenny. Like, how do you feel the creation of your character? How the involvement do you have in that creation of that character?
I feel very lucky because Jenny really does write for a woman. She listens. She listens to the stories of our past and she fuses them into our journeys. And so they always ring true. And I remember I'll never forget this, on our pilot, there was a line that said, you know, I'm explaining to my grandmother, like, no, I didn't have sex. There was a sample of a man put inside of me.
Yeah.
And, you know, my grandma's like, gay. And she's like, what are you saying? Because my grandma speaks Spanish on the show and I respond in English, which is
Genius.
100% what went down in my household.
Yeah.
You know, my grandma's like, what? I don't understand what you're saying, my grandmother on the show. And my line is, man, I don't even know how to say this in Spanish. And they had asked me, they're like, okay, we're gonna take that line out. And I was like, no. That is like when I read your pilot, that was the line that like hooked me. Because it is true, you're like communicating with your ancestors and there is a divide, there is that dual identity, knowing that your family migrated as well. There is that dual identity that we're experiencing and that is a demographic. And so I love that she was like, oh, okay, it's in.
Yeah.
And from then on, I haven't dealt with having to speak up for something I didn't think was authentic.
And to be also, it's like really rewarding also, I'm sure also we were talking about women, to have like women as, you know, you're watching a woman stand and really make that voice known and doing it in such a strong and excellent way.
Yeah, and regal and delicious.
Absolutely.
And it's very empowering.
Yes.
Very empowering.
Very empowering.
She makes me want to work hard.
Absolutely.
I want to make her happy.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. And I also think whenever I see her, she makes me think more of my own possibility. Because just seeing some, you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, I mean, listen, your character is phenomenal. Girl, I'm serious. You know, and I'm very blessed to work with Diane Guerrero, and I love and Dash, I love all the women in Orange. They're all so very strong. You transform so significantly.
Thanks.
It is so awesome.
Thanks.
I have to ask, like, what are the challenges that you may face?
I think one of the most challenging days of work on set, there were two. There was one when I had to beat up Poussey.
Oh.
That was a hard day at work.
Is it because of your love for her? Like, what,
Yeah.
a stunt? Or like,
it was hard because, one, having been with these characters for a season and a half at that point, and I've fallen in love with Poussey and the woman that I know, Suzanne, to be. So it was hard because I knew she was doing something out of love, like beating up Poussey for V, but Uzo, the person, knew that there was no reward in it.
And that's such a battle. Like, it's like your own mind and your character.
It's very hard. And then also, I love Samira Wiley, who plays Poussey. So that was just generally a hard
You're
day.
like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Really, truly, like it was like, I'm sorry, Samira. Like we would sit down between takes when they would have to reset the stage, and there wasn't a lot of talking that day at work. We really just didn't
difficult,
talk.
I'm sure, also.
Oh, very much so. And we were both just having a conversation in silence that was, it felt like, I'm sorry, it's okay. I'm sorry, it's okay. Just through our breathing. So that was a hard day. What about you?
The whole situation of like loving somebody and falling in love with somebody, you know, and not wanting to do something bad when I had to leave my fiance on the show. Michael, played by Brett Dyer, who I love him.
Yes.
Phenomenal actor.
Yes.
Our chemistry is awesome, and when I play with him, I feel like I grow, and I feel like I fly, and I feel like we find nuances. And when I have to leave him, I was like, oh, don't take him away.
Yes.
Like 6 episodes in, and that's, you know, 3 months of shooting, and then we had a parting, and it was so real.
Yes.
You know, and then I just recently gave birth, like a week and a half ago.